Hey everyone, David Rishpan here again with you. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are at one of Montreal's most legendary venues, Le Bouquet, to visit my friends in MISC and check out their setup. Let's go.
Salut Jérôme.
Salut. Ça va toi?
Yes, thanks for making the time.
Yeah, man.
So, for everyone watching, in the tuque is Jérémy Roy on bass. In the scarf is Will Côté on drums and sampler pad. And also in the tuque, Jérôme Beaulieu, who is a Juno-nominated art director on top of being a great pianist
for an album
composer.
cover.
Yeah. And so they make up MISC. And they're continuing the tour. They're continuing the tour of Beat Bouquet.
Ça va?
Yeah.
Comment tu vas?
This is Joanie.
Hello.
Joannie's doing pictures with us today. So cool. And we have Estelle on lights. And we have Sébastien Véziau on sound.
Yeah.
Who's always with us.
Cool.
So yes, full disclosure, these guys are friends of mine. I've recorded at their studio. I've played with Jérémy for close to 20 years in different projects, and I've known Jérôme for quite a long time as well. So this is not an unbiased video.
Avant qu'on commence, before we start, talk to me about this idea of setting up in the round, bringing all of your own equipment, having no monitors, or just you guys are relying on the PA as much as the audience is. Talk to me.
Yeah, well, it's not entirely true. We have a little monitoring. I have two little speakers here on my piano. Jérémy has a little monitor as well, but it's minimal monitoring in the sense that we just need a little bit more of ourselves, but the whole mix is already there. There's often this setup answers to two main concerns that I have with playing jazz in a more classical concert hall setup. The first one is being the two solitudes that always happen between how it sounded in the room and how it sounded on stage. We rely heavily on monitoring. Sometimes there's rejection from the subwoofers or whatever. The sonic environment is rarely the same on stage and in the room. By doing this, everybody has the same experience. We get to, of course, we have Seb on sound with us, but still, while we're playing, we get to gauge the reality of what people are hearing. So we can act accordingly, and it's much more enjoyable for us, in fact. We're getting the full show as well. The second thing being, there's jazz is a music of interaction, as you very well know, and of improvisation, and we're bouncing off each other, we're playing. I feel like sometimes in a more typical concert hall setting, it creates this area on stage where we're having fun and we're having our trip, and then the people in the room are watching this, but are not so much a part of it as if you were, for instance, at Smalls in New York or at Liaisons, where everybody's up close and personal, and you can see the things that we're shouting at each other, like, okay, we're going to the next section, or the laughs that we have because one of the guys played something that reminded me of another moment that we had, and all that stuff. And all the complicity and the interaction is much more palpable, and you feel like you're much more a part of the show in a small setting like in a jazz club, or that's where it was born, right? So this central setup gives that feeling. Everybody's part of it, and when I raise my head, I see one of the guys, and I also see people from the audience, right? Instantly, there's always this communication between everyone. Everyone sees each other, and communication is simpler, and people feel like they're part of the show. We're playing in their living room, wherever we're playing. So not one show goes by in this setup without me getting the feedback from someone in the crowd that this setup is so much fun for that type of music. So yeah, it keeps us going. We're having a lot of fun doing it too.
It's been like a year and a half in this setup on this tour?
Yeah, we've done it a couple times in the past. We've done an album launch in 2016. The first album where we were called MISC and not Trio Jérôme Beaulieu, like the band was named before, for 2 albums. That first launch happened at Sala Rosa, and we had a central setup. We did a video of it and all that stuff. And it's been itching ever since to do that again, because it feels, so much more up close and personal and compatible with what we're doing. Compatible with any improvisation-related music, in fact. The main guy here is a Helpinstill Roadmaster 64. So that's a piano that was... Helpinstill is a company that still exists today. They do piano pickups. You might have seen at what was named L'Astral before and is now, I think, Studio TD in Montreal. The grand piano in that venue is equipped with Helpinstill pickups, right? So there's usually 3 pickups, contact mics basically, that are placed underneath the strings, and there's a calibration possible between both, so bass, mid, and high, right? So you can deal a little with the EQ and the presence of each of those mics. And the advantages is no leaks, right? There's minimal leak from the drums or anything, so which is one of the main problems when miking an acoustic piano in a setting where there's bass and drums and all that stuff. So Helpinstill still exists today. They do pickups for upright pianos and grand pianos. This sort of prototype was done in the 70s and 80s, from what I understand. Many bands toured with those, like Queens of the Stone Age, for instance, and other bands. They had an 88 key version. This is a 64 key version, so 1 octave missing at the bottom, 1 octave missing at the top. It's a portable piano. It's like 200 and something pounds, but there's wheels and there's big handles on the side. It's literally an upright piano built into a road case. And this key bed, I can't do it completely right now because it's all mic'd up, but this key bed collapses into the piano like this, and then you close it with a panel like this, and it's just a road case that resembles a big sound console road case of sorts. So it's kind of portable, right? I put a piano dolly under it. I can put it in my Pontiac Vibe, like on the side, and whenever we have like a Ford Transit or a touring van, it goes in the van easily, and it makes that setup possible, right? Because I can't arrive in the venue and ask for the piano to be moved down from the stage and all that stuff. It's too much of a hassle, and it's usually too bulky and too heavy. So this makes it all possible. Of course, I have to tune it. I get it tuned pretty much every gig. Sometimes I do 2 or 3 gigs without having it tuned. I have a little tuning hammer to correct the big mistakes, but it's usually better to get it tuned every gig. It's equipped with the pickups, so it comes with this. We also mic it because there's a real acoustic sound. There's sufficient output, so we mic it and we get the pickup. The pickup allows me to swing it through some pedals, right? And that's the whole fun part of it. Yeah, I run the Helpinstill through the Chroma console, which is a multi-effect, and through the H90 after that. H90 gives me mostly reverbs, delays. There's a harmonizer that I use as well, but I use the distortions and the tape cassette effects and all that stuff from the Chroma console. I really love their... It's not as clean as Strymon or Eventide pedals. It's much more dirty and feels more organic.
And what's all the paper or felt I see you throw into the Helpinstill?
That's the other thing. I'm a big fan of felt pianos like Niels Fram and all that stuff. I've been using that a lot on the album. That's the other reason why I'm carrying this thing, because felt piano is not really possible on a grand piano, right? When it's it is possible, but you have to get it custom made and all that stuff, and no grand piano has it. And so I did a little damper, right? So it's just basically felt with thumbtacks on a little pine wooden stick.
Okay.
And I have 2 of them. I have one which is out of just straight up tissue. And actually, tissue is a liberal translation from French. What I mean is
like fabric. Yeah.
And this one is felt, so this one is thicker, this one is thinner. This one just damps a bit of the high end of the really honky-tonky vibe. And this one really makes it more into a felt piano type of vibe. So you can see it's pretty harsh, which is cool sometimes in a more rock setting. But then it's dampened and makes it a lot more fun too when I run it through effects. The harshness of the piano disappears and it's a lot smoother. So yeah, and I switch those depending on the tunes, right? When I want it more bitey, I can remove the dampers. Yeah, so that's pretty much for the Helpinstill. And then on top of it, there's the ASM Hydrasynth, which I bought 2 years ago. I think it's a Chinese keyboard. Incredible, really incredible keyboard. There's so much settings possible. You can link anything to anything. Basically, the envelopes, the LFOs are really assignable everywhere. So is the pitch wheel, and there's a ribbon controller. There's everything. There's even connectivity with modular keyboards, which is insane for a keyboard that price. It's half the price of a Prophet or a Udo keyboard, which I both love, but the possibilities are basically endless with this one. So with MISC, I do pads, stabs, leads, a whole bunch of different sounds with this one. The stereo is really incredible with this keyboard, and the effects section is incredible as well. There's everything. You don't need pedals. You don't need. Yeah, I'm really stoked about that one. And then finally, there's the Mellotron, the reissue, which this guy named Marcus, who was with Nord, I believe, before, Swedish dude who bought back the Mellotron patents and basically went and sampled everything Mellotron, Chamberlain, all the competitors of this instrument. Sampled all the tapes in high definition. You get the loops, you get the sounds like the strings, the flutes, all that stuff. But he also went and sampled some custom tapes that, because it's basically the first form of sampler, right? It was every time you hit that note, there was I think 7.8 seconds tape that would play, and then when the tape would reach its end, the sound would stop, it would rewind, and it would play again. And bands like Gino Vanelli and Roxy Music and all that stuff had custom sets of tapes done. For instance, Gino Vanelli had half-tone trills with the strings, and whole tone trills, and staccato, a couple
I didn't
string
know
sounds.
First of all, I didn't know Gino Vanelli used Mellotron, and I didn't know he had custom tapes.
Yeah, and Roxy Music as well. There's one particular patch, because the Mellotron comes with the basic sounds, but all the sounds that I'm talking about come in expansion packs, which are like basically big SD cards that you can insert in the back, and you get all those sound banks. And so that particular Roxy Music sample is basically the whole violin track from the tune split up in 7.8 seconds. So if you start at the bottom of the keyboard and you go up chromatically, you get the whole track, right? And it stops like around here. And it's basically, the guy playing this had to know the track and change right at the right time, so that, because it's not on beat, right? It's not musical, it's just 7.8 seconds, and then you have to know when to change to the next. So yeah, a lot of fun discoveries, and the sounds from this are just amazing. It's the real Mellotron sounds, so you get all the artifacts from the tape. You hear sometimes the violinist breathing or the guitar amp noising or all that stuff. It was basically Mr. Chamberlain, which was the inventor of that instrument, who recorded all those sounds in his basement with a Neumann microphone, right? So you get a feeling like you're in that room at that moment where he was doing those samples. So I get a big kick out of it, and aside from the, there's all those typical sounds that are famous for many tunes, right? Beatles tunes and all that stuff. So you get them as is, that's wonderful. But then to use it as a source material to swing it through some pedals and fuck with the sounds and get a whole bunch of different textures out of it is really fun too, which we did during the album process. So yeah, so that's basically the 3 keyboards, and then I get a little monitoring here, which is just enough. It's ear level too, so it doesn't leak into my microphone, which is great. When we get a monitor here and you put it at a certain level, it leaks into the piano microphones, and it's not so much fun. So this gives me just the little definition that I need for the effects and the synths, and that's all I need because everything else comes from the PA. The tensor is basically for to have some glitches in the sound. Sometimes there's a random knob on it which plays forwards, backwards, and modifies the time and the speed of the loop as if it was a tape machine. And I use it for one tune when I want the, again, Mellotron samples to just become a texture, but you can't recognize them that much. So you hear a string arrangement of sorts, but it's all broken down and glitchy. And this is the generation loss. It's a tape pedal, like a tape cassette. And I use it for extra wobble and extra textures on the Mellotron sometimes when I want it really off pitch, like it was, as if it was really worn down, right?
So the Helpinstill is going through the chroma and the eventide,
Chroma
and then the
eventide.
Mellotron is going through the middle two, the
Those
tensor
two
and the general.
and the eventide as well, because the eventide has 4 inputs in the back, and I can get 2 separate effects chain on the eventide,
Cool.
which is a lot of fun. So depending on, it's all they're also, the chroma and the eventide are MIDI connected, so I change patches only on the eventide, and everything else changes. So yeah, depending on which tune it is, the effects setup is just, the routing is different, everything is different. It's an incredible, it's basically the brain of the pedal board. It's the eventide.
I was wondering because it sounded almost like you had patch change or like control change, but I wasn't sure if it was the ASM or what was calling those changes. Very cool.
Yeah, that's calling the changes, and as far as we're talking about connectivity, my Mellotron is also connected in MIDI with my Hydrasynth, because in one tune I need to be playing piano, but those 2 synths need to be doing the melody at the same time, so they're layered. So I then, before that tune, I plug the MIDI out in my Mellotron, and the Mellotron plays the Hydrasynth as well, so I get both. And another thing that is worth mentioning is that I have a volume pedal here, which is basically the effects send for the piano, because I don't want the effects to be on all the time. So I'm sending the pickup and the mic clean to Véziau. Véziau EQs them, sends them back to me through that pedal. So I control when I want something to go to the effects pedal and when I don't. So that way, if I want to have just a delay throw or a reverb throw or an effect that comes into a particular section of the tune, I can manage it myself, and I don't have to be tweaking the pedals with my hand, right? So the sound can be tweaked and everything, and then when I want it on, I just send it through the pedal. I also get a volume control in that way if I want something to go slightly through the effects but not too much, or if I want an effect to come in gradually through a section, like a distortion or a delay or something, I can manage that with that volume pedal.
And are you connected to Will's SPD at all, or he's completely independent?
Yeah, that's the last part of this is a compressor. Called a really nice compressor. It's I use it in one tune to compress the Hydrasynth. I have a pad going with the hold feature because I'm playing piano. I have a pad that needs to be sidechained with the kick. So Will has a trigger on his kick. It goes through the SPD there, and I'm connected to the SPD with my compressor to basically get the trigger for the sidechain compression.
Jeremy also plays synth bass, and
Yeah.
I'll get a clip of that
Yeah.
after, and I'll get Will is Will running the SPD through pedals, or he's running his acoustic kit through the pedals?
Both actually. He's actually not running the SPD through the pedals. He's running his Digitac Electron drum machine and the acoustic kit through the pedals. He also has a volume pedal to send and cut the effects. And he has a pedal board, which is different from mine and very trippy. And yeah, Véziau blends basically his drum mics in a way and EQs that send so that it doesn't feed too much and sends it through his effects. So sometimes we get drums with distortion in a live kit, which is quite fun. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for making the time, Jérôme,
Yeah,
for the tour. And go check MISC on tour this year. Go get the records that have been Juno nominated for the music and the art.
Yeah.
This guy did the art, or consulted on the art. He's Juno
Consulted,
nominated
yeah,
for the art.
Consulted. Called up some favors and some people.
All right. Thanks, then.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Thank you.